I tracked down the company ruining restaurants.
I've had a sense that lots of restaurants are starting to taste the same. And maybe you too have had a sense that something is amiss. So I wanted to test a hypothesis.
I feel like by the same, I've noticed that restaurant quality has gone down. If I eat a burger from McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they are all starting to kind of taste the same because they're using cheaper and cheaper ingredients. And that cheapening of the ingredients makes it taste kind of similar.
Hypothesis with my coworkers that you can be served the same exact food.
Can I just get the jalapeno poppers?
From totally different restaurants.
The fried pickles. Can I get the fried pickles?
But made in the same factory, whether you wanted it or not.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. You have one big factory owned by a huge conglomerate that ships out all of its products to restaurants all over the world. It's like how you could go to a Walmart in Alaska and then a Walmart in Orlando, Florida, and buy the same product. It's because it's made by the same manufacturer in one central location and then shipped out to all of those places.
Get the funnel cake fries.
Here's the question behind this test. Are we trapped into eating the same mediocre food from New York to Alaska? And if so, why? And who's behind it?
All right, moment of truth.
That's the mystery we're going to unpack today.
To get to the bottom of it, first I went to Harlan, Iowa, woke up at 5 a.m. to talk to a restaurant owner about how they get their food.
I'm Ellen Walsh-Roseman, and I own Milk and Honey.
The thing is, Ellen's restaurant does it differently than most restaurants in 2025.
Wasn't Milk and Honey an erotic set of poems? Okay, maybe not erotic. The sections explore further themes of violence, abuse, love, lost femininity, accompanied by simple art illustrations. Yeah, it's like a by women for women type poetry book.
She showed me how she makes something from scratch for French toast. She uses a distributor to get most base ingredients, the milk from a local dairy and the eggs from a local farm, Ellen's. The bread is brioche that the restaurant makes from scratch. From there, the brioche gets baked, cut, dipped in homemade custard, griddled, and served to you, the customer.
That looks so good. I would destroy 2 plates of this. Look at that home-baked, fresh-baked that morning bread. Then it's covered up in a little powdered sugar, a little syrup, maybe a little honey to go crazy. This is like breakfast of champions.
Or, luckily enough, me.
It's very good.
It's not just the French toast. Ellen tries to work with as many local producers as possible.
This is our country skillet, and this is the local sourdough bread from a bakery in Omaha.
But for many restaurants, sourcing local ingredients like this is getting harder and harder. Ellen's distributor is regional and employee-owned. But if you're a restaurant owner, especially in a rural area, you might just have 1 or 2 distributors to choose from.
Because the big distributors buy up all the little distributors and try and work them into their huge chain that they have. Distribution is super expensive. So unless you're making a bunch of money, doing it is so hard to do, especially with energy costs, gas prices, everything's so expensive. It costs so much to get it from small local farms to a restaurant and be able to make a profit doing that.
There's a good chance one of them is a company called Sysco.
Wait, is this Sysco? They came into my college campus my junior year and they bought out the dining. So it used to be that you would buy a dining pass and the college themselves, they had cooks in the back. The college owned the dining experience, but then Sysco came in and signed some kind of big contract so that Sysco, the company, was cooking all of the food. And let me tell you, the drop in quality is unfreaking believable. The only thing that got better was the pizza. Every other thing not only got worse, but they made it to where you couldn't serve yourself anymore. You had to go through like you do at Subway and point to the things you wanted. It became slower, tasted worse, cost more. It was the worst thing to happen to the university since that one time a dorm building, true story, blew up from a gas leak. I hate Sysco so much.
And they are suspect number 1 for my deep fried mystery. To hash out that suspicion, I spoke to Austin Frerick, author of the book Barons, who explained the profound way Sysco is shaping the way we eat out.
The innovation of Sysco was that it was the first national company to essentially offer everything a restaurant needs.
Back in the day, someone like Ellen might have 1 distributor for butter and another for eggs. But Sysco is what's called a broadliner, supplying
everything from paper products to meat and produce.
Sysco was a merger of 9 different wholesale restaurant distributors.
But as a restaurant owner, I can see the advantage of that. Restaurants operate on margins like 3 to 7% on the high end. So when you have to go through a bunch of different distributors, it costs more. So if you can have one big distributor that gives you everything you need, presumably for a discount, I can totally see the appeal of that. Obviously, the issue is that then one big distributor buys up all the little distributors or everyone else that's doing the same thing, then they can jack up their prices to kingdom come and restaurants can't do anything about it. But as far as a thing that a restaurants could use, getting everything on one truck from one company is so convenient so that you can worry about other things. I totally get why people do it, even if the company itself, I'm sure, is terrible.
Kind of the explicit goal of making a national player.
That was in 1969. Fast forward to today, and Sysco has grown so much that it really only has 2 other competitors in the national space.
Among them, Sysco is the largest, and even a decade ago, controlled an estimated 35% of the market. And this year, their gross profit hit $15 billion.
The issue with this one is that, say the United States government says, yeah, this one's too big, we got to go in and break it up. How do you break it up? Do you make 2 broadline distributors that do everything for restaurants? Or do you break up like the agricultural side of it from like the napkins, papers, etc. side of it, which then creates a problem for the restaurants because now they have 2 distributors that they have to get stuff from. It just becomes less convenient. Usually breakups are really good because it makes things better for customers, but in this case, I can see why a breakup would be more complicated than that. I still think they probably should be broken up because I'm absolutely positive that they're a monopoly or conspiring with the other big players in the area to do monopolistic type practices. But I can also respect why this is more difficult than just break them up.
The scary thing about Sysco was it didn't become this giant through organic growth, but instead it became a giant through relentless acquisitions that went unchecked.
They've acquired over 150 companies to become really one of the only national broadline distributors for restaurants.
And this growth, I learned, is deeply changing the way we eat from farm to table. Let's start with the farm part. Ellen tries to work with as many local producers as possible, even when it's more expensive. Sysco, on the other hand, operates with the biggest producers at massive scales to eke out savings. Producers that often have some of the most exploitative production models.
But when you're a restaurant and you've got such tiny profit margins, it's so hard to say no to that substantially cheaper deal. I'm not saying it is good or ethical. Sysco is probably a terrible company that is encouraging and profiting off of huge animal abuse and possibly legal violations. But think about it from the perspective of the small restaurant owner who's just trying to make ends meet. It's so hard not to go with Sysco.
Sysco gets their berries from companies like Driscoll.
Driscoll's basically took the Nike sweatshop model and applied it to berry production.
And chicken from companies like Tyson.
Tyson's applied a sharecropping model to meat production.
If you used a national distributor,
Did you ever see that video of the guy on the Tyson production line who, in order to meet quota, just peed under the production belt of chicken breast? He literally could not afford to take a bathroom break, otherwise he would miss quota. Oh, I lied. It was Smithfield, not Tyson.
On the production line.
But look.
Video appears to show the employee take off his gloves and urinate on the line. The employee then puts his gloves back on and continues to work.
That is crazy. But obviously one of the reasons that he did it, I mean, I don't think you should do it anyway, was because the quotas and the expectations for production were so high, he actually physically couldn't afford to take a break and possibly still keep his job. It's just the kind of culture these huge companies foster. It's one of fear and you'll be replaced immediately and go, go, go. I don't care if you die.
could you get the Omaha sourdough? Could
No.
you get, no? And why is that?
So a lot of local distributors or local producers are not able to tap into regional distribution. The volume and production quantities is too high.
Sysco scours the globe for a good deal, and there's reason to be concerned about how they're getting some of those deals.
Seafood is the best example of this. Many providers to Sysco have been accused of engaging in slave labor.
That includes forced Uyghur and North Korean labor in China.
Basically, any dark part of the food system has moved offshore, which makes policing it really, really hard to do.
But Sysco doesn't just source shrimp and strawberries. They have their own line of mass-manufactured frozen foods. Everything from sourdough and brioche to, as I learned from researching this, jalapeno poppers, other fried appetizers, and desserts. Frozen food, it turns out, isn't just a facet of the Sysco business model, it drives it.
I don't think Americans appreciate that frozen food allows these long exploitative supply chains.
In the early 2000s, Sysco was buying jalapeno poppers assembled in Mexico for well below minimum wage and shipped frozen all over the country.
It allows a race to the bottom in terms of labor standards and pay.
So the food we ordered could have come to a distribution center like this, frozen, shipped to restaurants across the country, then dumped into a fryer. And now, the truckers driving those shipments, they're also getting squeezed by Sysco.
I guess that's why places like Applebee's and Chili's have so much of the same stuff on the menu. They're probably both getting it from Sysco, and it's just the same stuff. It's kind of like drop shipping, you know? Like you can go look at one thing on Amazon, and then you can find an identical product on Walmart, and they have different brands, different websites, but it's the exact same product. It's because it's just being drop shipped. Sysco is the drop shipper of the food world.
Sysco's continuously lobbying year after year to deregulate the trucking industry. And what we've seen since the 1980s is trucking wages are down nearly 40%.
After the food is unloaded off of trucks, it gets cooked up and put on your plate. And Sysco's dominance means the food on that plate is increasingly the same and increasingly worse.
Do you think regional variety is disappearing?
Yeah, I would say so.
You've probably had a Sysco meal without even realizing it. They offer everything from these sad bread rolls to Wagyu beef burger patties. If you've ever spent time in a hospital or a prison, you might have had a meal off of a Sysco truck. And if you pay attention, they're everywhere. And so it's getting harder and harder to avoid getting the exact same frozen meal at your local diner or brewery. It probably won't taste that great either.
If you were to buy pre-made brioche from one of the big national distributors,
They probably will try to keep things cheap, so like they're probably not going to use butter.
so they'll use like a canola oil or
Shortening of something like that.
Yeah.
And then like their sugar might be like processed sugar, like a high fructose corn syrup kind of thing.
Austin found a story of a Pennsylvania diner whose burgers weren't frying the same on the grill. When the owner investigated, he realized the patties now contained soy protein filler. Sysco and their competitors are flooding restaurants with ultra-processed food like this.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not even that it has to be the same provider per se, but if you go to a Burger King or a Wendy's or Applebee's or like any fast or fast casual type restaurant and you eat their food, it tastes roughly the same, but because the quality of ingredients has been slowly dropped and dropped and dropped in order to make profit margins a little larger. And if everyone drops the quality of their ingredients that goes into the food, then the food all kind of starts to taste the same, with that taste being This is also one of the big contributors to why I eat at home so much more than I used to. It just doesn't taste as good to eat out. And also, I know it's now bad for me and incredibly expensive.
Now, you might expect that with a deep fried cheddar jalapeno popper, but maybe less so with something like bread.
The irony is you could be a diner in a small town in Iowa, surrounded by some of the world's best farmland, and yet nothing on the menu is coming from around you. It's low quality products produced by people being exploited outside the national borders.
The system isn't exactly working out for restaurant owners or local distributors either.
With the competition bought out, Sysco has more leverage to arbitrarily raise prices. During COVID, for instance, they used their market power to pass on inflation to their customers and increase their earnings by 159%.
I wonder if those earnings numbers kept going up. Looks like they had a pretty big tank in 2020, and they're actually kind of slightly down from early 2020. They haven't changed in the past 6 years or so, so it doesn't seem like they're doing all that great. Can't say I'm too upset.
Sysco CEO even said on an earnings call that they had no intention of competing on price.
Smaller restaurants have almost no negotiating power with Sysco. And so if you are in a rural area where there, aren't any other distributors, then restaurants really don't have many options at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what a monopoly is you're a small restaurant and you've got one option. You can either source everything locally and it's really, really expensive and you have to hire someone to go to all the places and get the products and ingredients that you're going to use, or you use Sysco. And if Sysco jacks up their prices, what are you going to do? Say no? You have to shut down the restaurant. Like, this is why it's so important for the US government to ensure that there is actual good competition happening. We do not want there to be a situation where there's one company that rules everything, because then they can just increase their prices and nobody can do anything about it. Nobody else has power if there's only one option.
As we've lost some of that regional wholesale infrastructure, we also see the loss of local businesses, local farms, and a regional food system.
Yeah, because Sysco jacks up their prices. They don't care if, I don't know, 50 mom and pop shops go out of business. 50, that's basically nothing to them. If the huge companies that they provide for, Burger King, Wendy's, Applebee's, Chili's, Bob Evans, etc., if those stay open and keep paying these higher prices, that's all they care about. The small ones can go under. They don't make enough for Sysco to care whether they succeed or not.
In general, restaurant owners have little recourse when Sysco screws them over. Complaints are rampant about late deliveries, crushed eggs below stacks of boxes, even swapping ingredients without informing restaurants. As the industry continues to consolidate, these issues will only get worse. Sysco already tried to buy their largest competitor, US Foods, but was shut down by the FTC.
Now, Sysco's two largest competitors are signaling they might try to merge. In an environment where the biggest companies aggressively push out competition, makes sense. It also means restaurants will have even less choice than they already do, and farmers will have less bargaining power when selling their food.
Literally the only person it benefits for this to happen is Sysco, their shareholders, and their executives. The restaurants lose out because they now have to pay just whatever Sysco says they have to pay, and they can either shut down or pay it. The farmers lose out because if Sysco's not buying their stuff, well, then there's nobody else to buy it because this is the only operation. If you look at how many people are employed by either agriculture or hospitality, I mean, it's, I bet, tens of millions. And all of them will be screwed over so that Sysco can make a buck.
The most aggressive, gold standard thing that an antitrust enforcer could do would be to look at some of these deals and say, maybe we went too far. Like maybe we let Sysco acquire too many companies and we should unwind some of those and break up Sysco. That's something that we've seen antitrust enforcers take on with past deals like Ticketmaster.
The FTC could also block future acquisitions.
And also AT&T. Sometime, if you're ever curious, look up why we have unlimited talk, text, and data for relatively cheap. Obviously, it's not super cheap. Phone plan prices are going up, but you can get something like Mint Mobile. It's because AT&T owned everything and they charged whatever they want. They didn't offer unlimited plans, and you would have to pay more in order to get more stuff. Then the government came in and broke it up into 4 companies, the T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon. And then they had to compete, and so they started offering totally unlimited everything plans for a lot less money. If that breakup hadn't happened, then AT&T would own everything and they could charge whatever they wanted for whatever crappy plan.
And states and federal regulators could scrutinize discount programs that people like Claire and Austin suspect Sysco is using to drive out the competition. But what about my mission to get the same food in entirely different states? We ordered a mix of jalapeno poppers, fried pickles, and funnel cake fries in Nebraska, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and in Alaska.
All right, moment of truth. Jalapeno popper. Never been to this restaurant, never been to the city, but it just tastes like something I've had 100 times.
I also feel like jalapeno poppers have basically no variety. Like it's just a jalapeno maybe with cheese in it and then you deep fry it. Like how many different ways can you do that? This seems like a bad example.
In Omaha, I am pretty sure I got the Sysco brand jalapeno popper, though to be fair, their main competitor sells almost the same thing.
I bet they get it from the same place overseas too.
The one that I got in Brooklyn was clearly different than that one and was a little bit better. Here in New Jersey, I ordered funnel cake fries. They seem exactly the same as the ones I got in Omaha. A fellow producer also ordered them in Philadelphia and another in Anchorage.
They look pretty similar. I also ordered some fried pickles, which is what my fellow producer ordered in Philly. They're clearly different. One is chips, one is spears, but there's a chance that I got these Sysco pickle spears.
Don't get me wrong. You've probably had a frozen Sysco meal and thought it was totally fine. But the point is, in this giant food system, something is being lost. Regional variety, local jobs, local businesses, and just having a unique meal. A meal that's different.
That was I Tracked Down the Company Ruining Restaurants by More Perfect Union. Thanks for watching.